I honestly am starting to wonder if, like, Guillaume off the top and Guillaume Manton, have a box of blue and black cards.
Blue and black cards.
Yeah. So here we go. We're starting the quarterfinals now, and for those of you who are just starting to watch, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Jacob Van Lunen for the top 8 of the Star City Games Open series of the standard portion here in Edison, New Jersey. On the right of your screen, Joshua Ravitz. Joshua, old-time player. He's playing the blue-white Cobblade deck. Basically the same deck he played last week to make top 8 with. He made top 8 last week in an 800-person tournament, top 8 again in a 600-person tournament. Clearly Josh knows his way around the archetype. He's had a lot of success with it. He's a good control player, and I'm excited to see how this match plays out. On the left is one of our 2 non-Cobblade decks in the top 8, Jonathan Sukenik, who's playing a rug deck. Nothing too techy in there. He's got a couple Inferno Titans, which I think are some of the newer additions to come out of this weekend. And we saw him play once yesterday, and he seemed to play the deck pretty well. And it should be an interesting bout to see.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is, like, Josh is insane at playing Magic. And even though this match might be slightly favorable for John, I think that Josh is probably slightly favored. Right. It's a control mirror, and we're letting Ravitz play a control mirror. You know,
it's kind of a control mirror, though the rug deck can get those draws. You're like turn 2 Lotus Cobra.
Yeah, and the thing is, Josh's deck actually can't react to Lotus Cobra like the red version can.
It doesn't have lightning bolts, but the thing it does have, and this was huge yesterday, is Tectonic Edge. This was a huge point of contention yesterday. People like AJ Soccer, Drew Levin, Jerry Thompson are like, we don't need the edges. I just want to play lightning bolt. I want to bolt down things. But Josh Ravitz, Edgar Flores, and 2 other people in the top 8 were like, no. These Tectonic Edges are far too important. Like, use them in so many matchups.
Their mana bases are better. Like, they're allowed to play sideboard cards like Core Firewalker, which might be too hard to cast for the blue-eye-red version. Yeah. They're playing less land to come into play tapped. A lot of the lists only have like 3 Colonnade, so they really have like a very high density of lands that don't come into play tapped.
Right. And yeah, those tech edges here, Drew Levin told us, who's played the blue-red-white version a lot, that Raging Ravine was like one of the worst cards the rug deck can have against you, and so the ability to be able to just Tectonic Edge down the Ravine and out of the blue-white deck is huge. Plus, I mean, you just get some extra spells on top of everything else. So
yeah, so looks like Josh mulligans a 5-land double Mystic hand, and John mulligans a 6-land 1 Mana Lake hand.
Yeah, both players going down to 6 cards here in the quarterfinals of this event.
John may have actually had 1 Preordain in his hand.
Yeah, I think I saw
in addition to the Mana Lake.
But both hands looked pretty poor for the matchup, and players are content to drop down to 6 cards. They're both look like pretty disciplined players. Joshua, obviously, a lot of experience, a lot of discipline in his play. Like, he knows he has to mulligan hands like these. Jonathan is a local guy. You said he's played a lot. There's a lot of Magic online, and he clearly knows something about the rolling dice. Do they not determine who goes first? But Jonathan clearly knows something about restraint, so it's interesting enough. I mean, taking mulligans is such a fine art. A lot of people have difficulty with it, and so seeing these players play, you can learn a lot from them and how they make their mulligan decisions. I think a lot of people might look at a hand and be like, okay, well, 5 lands, 2 mystics. That's not the greatest hand ever, but I'm perfectly content keeping this. I could play a mystic on turn 2, a mystic on turn 3, or put my sword on turn 3 equipped. But Josh was like, no, I need a better hand than this in this matchup, and I'm willing to mulligan this.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to learn, is that mulliganing isn't just about, finding lands and spells. Like, actually finding like a good hand is your goal when you're mulliganing. Right. The Paris mulligan rules let you actually
so they're
work
drawing
for
7 again.
So there must have been some confusion.
There must have been some confusion. They rolled dice, so they must have not determined who was on the play or the draw, which I suppose is fortunate for both players because both their hands are pretty poor. So, all right. So Josh leads on a Seachrome Coast.
Yeah. Now Josh only has a 2-lander, so.
And there's the 3rd land. And Squadron Hawk is going to help him out here.
And Squadron Hawk is just so good at,
everything.
Everything.
Drawing you cards, getting you creatures, wearing a sword, discarding Defana Shaman, attacking, blocking, shuffling your library.
Drawing cards with Jace. It's good Ancestral Recall.
I mean, it's Healing Salve, Ancestral Recall, Lightning Bolt. It just, it's everything but Raised Dead and Giant Growth. You can discard it to your Molten Tail Master Cores, right? So on turn 2 is Lotus Cobra, and Lotus Cobra is the card that a lot of the Caw-Blade decks really feel scared about. I remember Kibler back in San Jose told us a lot about how Cobra was the card he was most scared out of a rug. It can give them really quick starts. And in game 1, the blue-white deck does not have a great answer. After sideboarding, I know Josh has 4 ousts in a sideboard alongside 4 condemns. But in this game 1, that Lotus Cobra is going to be a huge problem for Joshua Ravitz.
Yeah, Josh really has like this one window of opportunity where he's like allowed to tap lands on his turn, and then John gets up to the point where he has access to 6 mana, and then things get pretty far out of reach for Josh.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you hit 6 mana pretty consistently on turn 4 here with that Lotus Cobra, Josh is going to have to represent Mana Leak every turn, and
yeah,
it can be rough, especially if he ends up being Landlight. All right, so the sword is going to certainly help him. It'll help demolish Jonathan's hand, which is a decent saving grace, because if you equip the sword, attack, and then he discards a card, he untaps, you Mana Leak something, and then you can maybe tear apart his hand a little bit more. But it's still a long ways away from here, and a single lightning bolt from Jonathan, which I think he has
it.
Yeah, will cause a huge problem going along. I think, is this Jace coming down this turn? Yep, and here's a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Alright, and Preordained from Joshua Ravitz.
Josh really needed that Mana Leak, so... Ooh, puts both on the bottom. That's interesting.
And
yes, he's trying to hit his land drops.
And from the back tables, Patrick Sullivan already up with game 1.
Typical Pat Sullivan. All right, so Josh replays his Hawk. Shuffles a bit more. And John looks like he's just in absolute control of this game.
Yeah, and that Jace, just doing what Jace does best.
Yeah, and I mean, he does not have the fetch land to play Titan this turn, but there will certainly be Titans starting from the next turn on.
So what do you think the play is here?
I think he plays Raging Ravine and passes with Bolt Mana Leak up. Oh, you can add a blue and play Preordain. I didn't realize he had that in his hand.
Ah, yes, Preordain. Nice little double checks to make sure they're both what he thought they were, and sets them up the way he wants.
Ooh, is he going to main phase this spot?
Yep, and there goes down Squadron Hawk.
I guess if his opponent's the 16, then Inferno Titan along with the Lotus Cobra is kind of a one-turn clock. The thing is, John can afford to just use cards like that, just like use a card on a Squadron Hawk and not really worry about it. He's a Jason play.
Right.
It just kind of negates any sort of card disadvantage that he might have been worried about accruing.
Right, and going along here, Jonathan Sukenik certainly has the advantage because he already has that Jason play. His hand is stocked full of threats. And, all right, so there's a Jace to trade
now
off.
he gets to Mana Leak, and then he's going to follow it up with a Inferno Titan.
Yeah, this is not looking great for Joshua
Or Frosty.
They're going to be a Titan plus Jace on the board.
Yeah, that makes things pretty rough.
Yes. Indeed. It's going... Oh my. So it looks like Jace Fate Sealed there?
Yep.
And you just left the card on top.
Yeah, I'm interested in that fate seal.
I mean, it's very possible Jonathan just felt like, he's in control of the game. He just doesn't want to get Day of Judgment in or something similar.
Or maybe he's thinking, it took Josh a little while to hit that 4th land drop. His deck has a lot of 4s. If I can simply, look at the top card of his library repeatedly and prevent him from playing 4s.
and Josh
just backs in. He knows what's going on.
A pretty nice subtle play there by Jonathan. Just deciding, hey, look, Fate Sealing here I think is correct, just because if I can keep him off his land drops, I know Frost Titan's going to tap this down. He can't Day of Judgment me next turn.
Yeah, and I believe he definitely had another Titan or 2 in his hand, so it gives him the opportunity to start resolving those spells.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, so for those of you watching, we're going to do the SCG Premium giveaway here. And for 3 months of premium. Now, the trivia question today is, what old school Magic Pro has made top 8 of this event playing a mono red deck? Yep. So tweet now with the hashtag SCG Premium.
See it right there on your screen.
And for those of you who catch it the first time, we're tweeting the question for you guys. But once again, the question is, what old school pro made top 8 of the standard portion of this tournament playing a red deck? If you've been following along, hopefully you know the answer by now. And I'll give you a hint. He's up 1 game in the quarterfinals. Yeah. So.
Could you?
And the answers are starting to roll in. Once you have a bunch of answers in, we'll just randomly select one of the users, and they'll win the prize. 3 months premium is pretty awesome to have.
I don't have any M11s.
Players shuffling for the game too.
Excited to borrow those. Plus, I was at college and all my uncommon rounds. I have to borrow all the uncommon packets that weren't in there.
All right. So how do you think the players are going to sideboard here?
I mean, Josh is probably, I don't know. It's kind of an interesting match. Sure, there are a lot of different ways to do this. Josh has Condemns, which are really good against the Titans and things like that. But I'm not sure if those are necessarily for this match. Maybe he brings in his ousts.
I feel like those ousts have to come in here. They're so crucial when you hit one of those Lotus Cobras. I mean, against Valakut, there was some debate yesterday if you should bring them in, but man, hitting one of those early Cobras really sets them back, because not only are you getting rid of a huge important card in the matchup, like we just saw Lotus Cobra essentially dominate the game there, but it puts it back on top of their library in 2 turns where they don't want to draw it anymore. And
so it looks like Josh is bringing in Precursor Golem and Sun Titan.
He had Precursor Golem in the sideboard? I don't remember that from when we looked at it yesterday, but I guess you must say.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it now, so.
Wow. Well, I guess we can see some Golem action here.
Golem action is always the best.
As long as it's not a Grasp of Darkness on Golem Artisan, I think it'll be okay. And I've seen, I mean, obviously there's the infamous Jordy Tate story with Grasp of Darkness and Golem Artisan, but I've seen that happen just over and over in this format, because people don't realize the way Precursor Golem's worded is that if you target any Golem, a Changeling or a Goblin or a Golem Artisan or anything, it switches the target of all the Golems. So, you electrolyze one, Moth Dust Changeling, and all the Precursor Golems get the target on them too, which can potentially be dangerous in limited. I once saw a player not only cast Grasp of Darkness on his opponent's Goblin Artisan, which killed off his Precursor Golem, but there was a Galvanic Blast on the stack, which turned off his own Metal Crack. So you have to be very careful when playing with these expert level expansion cards.
The expert level.
Yeah.
Welcome to the big leagues.
Yeah,
there should be a little thing in the booster packs.
So the players diligently sideboarding up for this match. We'll see if we can get deck lists here in a second to compare what the players are bringing in.
Are there any players that you'd like to see do particularly well in this top 8? Any people you have like affinity for?
I think the players. I mean, obviously Patrick Sullivan.
Oh yeah, everybody wants to see Pat Sullivan win. Besides Pat Sullivan, that's the given.
All right, but the person I was watching Edgar Flores play yesterday, and he's a player that any really big breakout finishes. He's just played blue-white. He made top 8 last weekend with his blue-white deck. He made top 8 with it again this weekend. Obviously, he's pretty confident in it because his entire deck is foil. And he played his deck really, really well. We watched him play, and he made awesome plays on pretty much every turn. You could see the thought process.
He was really tight. He was really, really good. He was able to put his opponents on the exact cards he needed to play around them. And that's what a blue-white deck does. Like, if you know what your opponent's going to do, then you can react properly if you're hitting in land drops.
And so it looks like the players are presenting, and we're about to pick up 7 cards. And I'm pulling up the deck lists right now so we can talk about what these players might have sideboarded in. And the deck lists are all available on StarCityGames.com. If you go to the event page, you can find out how these players are, how these players have been playing their decks, what's in their sideboards.
Another player I'm really excited to see here in the top 8 is Meisenhower.
Yeah, we watched him play. His hands were shaking yesterday after.
Oh yeah, I mean he was nervous. It was his first, this is his first big event. His first top 8.
So let's see. So Josh leads on a turn 2 Stone Forge Mystic. Certainly a great play to have in this matchup. All right. So
in what matchup is it not good to play a turn 2 Stone Forge Mystic?
All right.
So good.
Yeah, there aren't many. Even I would happily, a lot of the time, I think, play a Stoneforge Mystic into Bitter Blossom. If my opponent casts Bitter Blossom or has potential to cast it. In Jonathan's sideboard, he's got not a ton. Maybe Mold Shambler, if that's something you think you might want to do, but it's another 6-mana spell.
He's probably bringing it in, though. I can't imagine it's in the sideboard and he's not bringing it in this match.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think he has anything. Obstinate Baloth, Flash Freeze, Ratchet Bomb, Pyroclasm, and Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, all in capital letters. Also, it should be noted, so on Jonathan's deck list, he has high feature match written in. Well, he's certainly got this opportunity now. He came up to me yesterday after he made top 8 and was like, I really wanted to get in the booth this week and hope I get some time. So I told him, he can maybe stop by later and say hi.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And see what he has to say. On the other hand, Joshua Ravitz, ousts, so 3 ousts and 2 condemns. We'll probably see those in here. Flash Freeze, I'd imagine, is probably a card that Josh brought in this matchup.
Would not surprise me.
Baneslayer Angel could be.
What do you think he took out? You think he took out his Squadron Hawks?
It's hard to say. The thing is, the equipment just gets a little sketchier if you draw it naturally, especially if your opponent's keeping in your bolts for your Stoneforge Mystics.
That's true.
I'd imagine you probably took out that Sylvok Lifestaff and maybe some of the counter magic, but I'm not totally certain. It's also possible he went down to 1 sword. I think you could maybe justify cutting the Squadron Hawks if you cut down on swords, but the Hawks just seem so good going along with the swords. And then we see a sort of Feast and Famine in Josh's hand right now as he tries to figure out what the play is for him here. Facing a Stoneforge Mystic across Jonathan's board.
John's just going to go for the Jace.
And it looks like Josh missed his 4th land drop.
No, John had an Explorer on turn 2.
Oh, an Explorer.
Yeah.
There we go.
I've never really known what I wanted to do, like what I wanted my profession to be, like long term in my life. But now I'm pretty sure I want to be an Explorer. Because there's nothing I like to do more than drawing cards and playing extra lands.
The feeling of, like, turn 2 Explorer just feels so good when you cast it.
It's everything my older brother used to do to me to beat me at Magic. Play extra lands and draw extra cards.
Sure. Just the best possible thing you could ever do. And it just feels so good when you cast turn 2 Explorer. Alright, and Vile's in that sort of Feast and Famine. And now we're going to see what Josh does here. Maybe he goes with Jace to trade, or think he's going to suit up. Well, yeah, I guess he's going to suit up the sword and serve it, Jonathan, and then probably trade up Jace's.
Seems like a reasonable play here.
Yeah. Maybe get another. Oh, a Mortar Pod. Here comes a Germ token. Germ.
Ooh. Mortar Pod. I didn't see a mortar pod coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's one in a sideboard. He must have boarded it in. You know what it is very good at is killing Lotus Cobra.
It is very good at killing Lotus Cobra. It's also an extra body that you can search up with your Stoneforge Mystic to
Absolutely.
increase like the power of your equipment when you're siding at your Squadron Hawks or something like that.
So Joshua opts to not trade Jaces here, and he just goes for a Tectonic Edge on Rager Ravine, hoping to cut Jonathan off of green mana. But that active Jace is certainly looking to be a little threatening here. We'll see what Jonathan has in store for us this turn.
Just drinking some coffee, you know.
Early in the morning. I mean, if
Himself
there's
up.
anybody on the West Coast watching our broadcast right now, it is 5:40 in the morning, and I applaud you. Tweet at us and let us know if that's the case.
Yeah, you're probably still on West Coast time, so this is brutal for you.
It's not that bad. I got to hang out in New York for a couple days. So
Nice.
I adjusted to the lifestyle. With editor Steve Stayden, it was good times. So, in fact, I stayed a little bit with AJ. He's in the top 8 of this tournament, and we got to talk about his deck a lot, which is a great insight. So that sword is looking to go to that mortar pod, and kapow! German is going to sling a point of damage. The only question is if it's going to be at Jace or at Jonathan. And Joshua clearly thinking he knows this is an important decision.
I mean, and Josh has to be a little bit frustrated with himself here, too, that he didn't just re-Jace the last turn.
Brian Kibler, still up, lets us know from the West Coast. Unclear if he ever went to sleep. Alright, Stoneforge Mystic comes down. And the Mystic's going to be decent. Picks up another piece of equipment, but that Jace is still threatening on the other side of the board. Oh man, and leaving an active Jace is just so dangerous. But, I mean, to be fair, Jonathan does have another Jace in his hand, and if Joshua had just traded up Jaces, Jonathan had the opportunity to play another Jace.
Yeah, just re-Jace him.
And time walk Joshua, so maybe Josh just has the read.
Well, if he re-Jaces there, then Josh gets to untap again with an equipped Stoneforge Mystic. Right?
Right.
So...
Tiaku on Twitter is watching in Sweden right now, which is pretty cool. He said he watched all last night, and now he's watching again. So it's great to know how universal this game really is. And picks that Stoneforge Mystic back up. If there's another piece of equipment in his deck, he can tutor it up, but that doesn't seem very likely. I don't think he left that Silok Life Staff in.
It seems unlikely.
So now, at this point, do you just go for Jace here and try and trade them up, or are you worried about walking into a mana leak?
I mean, you're walking into so many cards. If you play a Jace, like you're walking into a Jace, you're walking into a Titan, you're walking into, I guess... I mean, I don't really know what's in his hand, though. It could just be his only play.
The thing is, you kind of have to go for it, right? Because if you have to deal with that Jace.
Yeah.
And so Josh, I think, just shrugged and was like, all right, well, I'm going to play this Jace.
Yep.
Hope you don't have another Jace or a counterspell. And he didn't have the counterspell, but he does have the second Jace in his hand.
Ooh, but he goes for the slime. This actually gives Josh a little bit of an opening.
Yeah, it gives him a Jace breather, as it were, although things could start getting really hairy for Joshua if that Jace starts -1 that acidic slime.
Yeah.
Here comes Stoneforge Mystic down. See if Josh opts to search. Nope, he's out of equipment. He did not leave in Silok Life Staff. And Josh leaves 2 mana untapped.
Josh has Flash Freeze in his hand, so...
That's certainly a good one. Wait, what color is Jace the Mind Sculptor? Blue, but there's a Spell Pierce at the front of Joshua's hand, which is a nice little one. A lot of players said...
That's going to be a good answer to Jace the Mind Sculptor.
A lot of players said they would not leave Spell Pierce in this matchup, but Josh clearly begs to differ. And
Jace is just so important.
Yeah.
Especially those Explore Jace hands. I think it's pretty important to have that card.
And there's a Lotus Cobra. Yeah, I mean... Jace just seems so crucial. That one turn where Jonathan didn't deploy the Jace, I mean, now Joshua has Spell Pierce mana untapped, and he has the opportunity to make some plays. And now maybe he could even get in a turn or two, we could see Sword of Body and Mind coming online. So here comes another Tectonic Edge. And there's the sword. and a mana leak, spell pierces, and equips. So he uses the spell pierce to pick up some mana on the exchange, and is perfectly willing to serve in with that sword.
Woof.
And the sword means that can't be bounced. Let's see, mills 2 Inferno Titans, and it looks like a bunch of lands.
Yeah, John wanted those lands that were on the top of his deck.
Yeah. How fortunate. So another Jace by Jonathan, I believe, is the draw there.
Jace isn't quite as good as it would be, though. Right now, the Stoneforge has protection from blue and green, so...
Here we go. Deciding what is he gonna do? What is his course of action here?
Well, I mean, with the Lotus Cobra on the table, he could keep that fetch land. Or I guess he probably wants to leave the fetch land on top.
Well, whatever he put back on top might not be there when he untaps thanks to that sort of body in mind.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think the sort of body in mind is probably going to pick up a Jace next turn, though.
That's very true. Although, I could certainly see, we saw Josh play against AJ yesterday, and when he had sword in play on his Stoneforge, he was like, I'm just going to race you. I'm just going to try and race. It didn't end up working out for him then, but maybe he feels like that's a good play here. I think taking out that Jace has to be the course of action. It just seems so good.
Yeah, this opponent's still at 13.
Yeah.
It's going to require a bunch more swings.
Right. I mean, building up a Wolf army is nice, especially against a deck without some kind of sweeper effect. But
especially when he has John, like...
Man, that Spell Pierce looking pretty good for Joshua Ravitz.
The Spell Pierce is really good for Josh.
The interesting thing about that Spell Pierce is I don't know if a lot of players would have had the guts to pierce that leak there and then, basically just use it as a dark ritual, more or less. But it worked out well. I think a lot of players would be like, well, I'm trying to make sure he stays off Jake, so I'll just pass. But yeah, sort of Binding Mind there worked out really well for him equipping that turn. So he gives the Wolf the Mortar Pod. The 3 toughness, surprisingly important.
Yeah.
And so sort of Binding Mind, Josh does opt to just go after Jonathan here. The Wolf goes after the Jace, but the Sword takes down some of Jonathan's cards, and then the Wolf could potentially finish off the Jace with that Mortar Pod.
Yeah.
So we can see Jace going down right here, depending on what Josh wants to do. Yep, and Josh Mortar Pod.
Seems like it's definitely the right play. Josh Ravitz, what a master.
Very nice. And Josh looking in a good position here. He's got the sword on his Stoneforge, and he has that Celestial Colonnade, which is gonna, like, if Josh needs to race, he can really start picking up the pace. What happened to didn't Josh just get a Wolf?
He used it to kill the Lotus Cobra with the Mortar Pod.
Oh, he's killed the Lotus Cobra. Okay.
It's really good. Keeps John off double red, prevent him from Inferno Tightening.
Yeah, so now Josh has, let's see, 3 points of power with this sort of body in mind, an additional 4 with that Colonnade, so that's 7 points of power, and he's certainly looking to be ahead here. Jonathan still could potentially get back into the game. He's been holding on to what I believe is an Inferno Titan for a while now.
Yeah.
But that
Josh could also just have counter magic in his hand, though.
Yeah. So serves for 3, and hastens the clock, and mills for 10 cards. And Jonathan's deck is starting to look pretty slim.
I was milled by a sort of Body and Mind earlier this week. I don't want to talk about it.
Was it in Limited?
It was in Limited.
Oh, that's the roughest. 40 cards, eh?
Yeah, I got hit 3 times.
And this game, it's Joshua who looks at the top card of Jonathan's deck and is like, you know what, you can keep that one. And Jonathan packs it in. Josh takes it to a 3rd game.
And Josh played that game really well.
Yeah, yeah, both players played that game pretty well, and Josh, I think, made a bunch of pretty good correct plays in a board state where his opponent looked to be ahead with that active Jace, and his opponent gave him a small window where he didn't replay his own Jace.
Yeah, he chose to play the slime instead of replaying a Jace.
And
I think that gave Josh the opening he needed to win the game.
And that was the one turn that he was looking for, especially when he was able to untap with Spell Pierce in his hand. So huge for him.
Yeah, now, have we gotten results yet on the Pat Sullivan match?
Yep. Patrick Sullivan 2-0. Koth's emblem is good,
Yes,
is the report I just received.
Pat Sullivan wins his match 2-0. He apparently ultimated a Koth. It's exciting.
It means that the top 4 cannot be 4 Cobblade decks. That's the new news. And we could potentially only see 2 Cobblade decks if Jonathan takes down Joshua here.
The maximum number of Call Blades in the top 4 has reduced itself from 16 to 12. This is really rough for Josh, though, on the draw. Especially if John has a Lotus Cobra. Then it's just really, really bad,
I think
right?
I think that's where the ousts really shine. Like, if he goes Lotus Cobra on the play and Josh has an oust on the draw, that can be absolutely gigantic for Joshua here.
Oh man, a smile from Josh Ravitz.
Wow.
This is wonderful. I love
He's
it.
clearly happy to be in this position. Happy to pick up that last game. It's certainly a close last game. I'm excited to see how this game 3 plays out. There've been great matches so far. Just watching Josh play today and yesterday. Oh my.
I'd just like to mention the Star City Games sleeves again. Hilarious they are.
Don't daze me, bro.
Don't daze me, bro.
Let's see. It's do you think you switch up your sideboarding at all for game 3, or you just want to keep your deck as is?
I don't know. It's not really a match where you have like that many different on the draw versus on the play things, in my opinion. I could be wrong though.
I mean, it's possible that maybe Mold Shambler's a little better on the play. Other than that, I mean, that's really the only card in Jonathan's deck I could see boarding in this matchup. I'm actually surprised he's as light on sideboard threats as he is. And that Mortar Pod really shined for Joshua there. That one event in the sideboard certainly looks a little iffy. They're like, oh, Mortar Pod, like, you know, just this piece of equipment. Yeah, it's really good and limited. You know, it's a first pick, but in that constructed match, it certainly did some work there. Killed off that Jace, gave a 3rd toughness to a Wolf token.
Yeah, I mean, killing that Lotus Cobra might have won him that game.
Yeah, killing that Cobra was huge. All right, so the players draw their opening hands here. Oh, Mortar Pod again making an appearance in Josh Ravitz's hand, but I don't know if his hand looks good enough to keep. It looks like there's double Gideon in there, Tectonic Edge. I don't know if there's enough mana sources. And yeah, Joshua peeks at the top cards of his library, an unusual play from the disciplined magician, and he shuffles his hand back in. While Jonathan keeps what looks to be a fairly land-heavy hand, although I think I saw a Lotus Cobra, and he definitely has a Holomar depth, which will help him dig the cards he's looking for.
I mean, on the draw, Josh really needs, he needs a 2-mana counterspell. Needs, like, some type, like, it's just tough for him. I guess an oust is good.
Yeah, oust I think is probably the most important thing. Like, if your opponent's turn 2 Lotus Cobra, you really have to oust it. I think that is absolutely crucial. Certainly something Josh is looking for. That hand he just had was not nearly good enough. Josh has taken, is this his 2nd or 3rd mulligan in this match?
This is his 2nd mulligan in the match.
Mulligan. Oh, in the first
game
that wasn't a real
faux mulligan.
It was a full start penalty. The players jumped out of the box a little too fast, and the judge had to be like, no. You guys both mulligan, but go back to 7 cards. You guys did not determine who was going to play or draw first, which can make a big difference. And Jonathan shuffles Joshua's deck, trying to send all the cards he needs to the bottom.
Now, John's deck didn't have that much action from what we saw, right? It had a Cobra, but it didn't really.
Alright. So Joshua picks up a new hand. What are we seeing? I think it's Preordain, Gideon, Sword. Doesn't look like a lot of lands. Is that Plains Preordain? That's rough. Yeah, and Josh was like, no, you can't keep the Plains Preordain in hand. That's a real-life misclick if you do that. So I'm going to have to send it back, and Josh drops to 5 cards. Now, he's on the draw, so he gets to pick up a card, but certainly not what he was hoping for.
Yeah, now, this is it's always a frustrating way to go out.
Well,
I know
I mean,
Josh is going to be on the mailing list, writing about a mulligan to 5.
I mean, maybe. Obviously, mulligan to 5, not great, but I could see him come back.
Yeah, he'd obviously win. He's playing blue cards. He's playing Stoneforge Mystics. He's playing Jaces. You know, like, Wizards has done a pretty good job, like, making cards that help people recover from mulligans.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he is on the draw, which obviously being on the draw, not great in this matchup, but he still does get that extra card, which could be crucial. And I can see a hand where Josh has, 3 lands, Oust, and Stoneforge Mystic or something similar, and just, Oust the Lotus Cobra, plays a Mystic, gets a sword, and maybe hops right back in the game with a couple good draw steps.
It's not unreasonable at all to think that could happen.
Right. And Jonathan's hand looks pretty land heavy, so if he floods out here, if that Hallmark Depths peaks and doesn't find what he's looking for, it could be a slow start for him, which could give Josh the time that he needs. And,
my first PTQ top 8, my entire life, I played against Gerard Fabiano in the first round.
Okay.
I was very young. And Gerard in game 3 mulligan 5 against me, and I felt so good. I was so happy. I thought I had it won, and then he just crushed me. So.
Oh man. Yeah, Alan Comer told me a story once about a player who mulliganed down to 2 cards, and his 2 cards were Dark Ritual Necropotence, and he drew a Swamp off the top. So there you go. So Josh does find that Oust. He quickly keeps his hand. He's like, yeah, this is way better than my other ones. And it looks like it's a Glacial Fortress.
It's 3 lands, Oust,
and a
sword.
Which, I mean, obviously not a great hand, but
the sword's actually almost a dead card, right? For Josh, because there's still so many Stoneforge Mystics.
It depends, I think, on if he left in Squadron Hawk or not. Because if he draws a natural Hawk, that sword can be very good. Otherwise, all of his creatures are just Mystics anyway.
Yeah.
So Jonathan does not have the turn 2 Lotus Cobra. And Joshua has plenty of lands, sitting on 2 Ousts, and he passes the turn back. And interesting there, he had the opportunity to play, I think, doesn't Josh have a Seachrome Coast in his hand? I think he had the opportunity to play an untapped land and bluff a Mana Leak, but he might have been trying to draw something out from Jonathan here to potentially oust it.
Yeah.
His opponent's like, okay, well, I've got free reign to cast a Lotus Cobra that I just drew or something, and Joshua can oust it back and, set Jonathan back a draw step, essentially, in another turn. Josh, considering his nice line of play, that coast is down. There's a Mortar Pod. I sort up the Mortar Pod. That's a line of play this game.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's a card he wanted to draw.
No.
His Mystics are getting worse and worse.
Yeah, absolutely. He just has 1 sword left in his deck for his 4 Mystics to fetch.
There's soon to be Squires.
Yeah.
So
drawing a Mystic there would have certainly been better than drawing that Mortar Pod, but you gotta make do with what your deck yields, I suppose. And so the Mortar Pod resolves. And Jonathan's still not doing a lot over there. I think that's a Lotus Cobra that he just drew this turn. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he can play a fetch land, and then he can play a Jace.
Yeah, that's a nice.
Oh, now he just chooses to play the land and pass.
Interesting. Well, in response to the fetch land trigger, Joshua could crack Mortar Pod on Lotus Cobra.
That's true.
Would
break that up.
Yeah, which would mess up that sequence of plays. let's see. So he tech edges down that copper line Gorch.
So for the next match for the semifinals, it looks like we're going to be covering AJ Soccer against Patrick Sullivan.
Yep. Are they starting that now, or are we going to wait on it? I'd imagine they should probably start their match just because of we're running the whole top 8 today. But if we can get Patrick Sullivan on camera, that would be great. And Josh, considering what he's doing, and just unfortunistic, which could find that last piece of equipment, but it looks like it's going to get mana linked down by Jonathan Sukenik here. And Josh cracks that Misty Rainforest. For those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey here with Jacob Van Lunen in a very tense Game 3 here at the Star City Games Open Series in Edison, New Jersey. On the right side of your board is Joshua Ravitz with a blue-white Cobblade. He's got a bunch of lands and a mortar pot on the battlefield.
Yeah, he's on the mulligan of 5 right now.
Yeah.
He's not feeling too well.
On mulligan of 5, although fortunately for him, Jonathan did not get a very aggressive draw. Jonathan on the left is playing Rug, although you might not be able to tell from the lack of any big creatures or Lotus Cobras on his side of the board. Joshua has been calculating, trying to figure out how he can take this game down. A mana leak on Stoneforge Mystic was just pretty strong by Jonathan here. Joshua was just trying to figure out what his course of action is that's going to be able to take this game down. Alright, so there comes the Lotus Cobra that I believe Josh ousted.
So it's back.
Yep, back for more. Unless, or did he mortar pot away the Lotus Cobra? I think that might just be a second Lotus Cobra. Regardless, let's see. So cracks Misty Rainforest, find a land, bring him to 4, or access to 5 mana this turn. But I'd imagine he would not force Josh to go through the double shuffle here if he was cracking that Scalding turn. So we'll see what comes out to play for 3.
Well, it's actually for 4, because he played the fetch land and cracked it. So.
Oh, for 4 indeed, yeah. So
yep.
There is the Jace, yeah.
So now with that Lotus Cobra and that fetch land, he still has enough mana to play Mana Lake.
Good situation for Jonathan to be in, and that Jace is going to pull the game away.
Yeah, the Jace can just run away with the game.
Yep, absolutely. Passes back to Josh. Josh tries to spell pierce, which is a little too late. Although Jonathan could have paid it.
Yeah, John could have paid for it, but
Joshua ousts that Lotus Cobra. This time he does use the oust.
The draft challenge is just getting started. It looks like there are some ringers over there right now. We've got a Steve Sadin, a John Becker, a Matt Ferrando. It looks like we even have a Paul Jordan battling in the draft challenge today.
No, these events are great on Sunday because if you don't play Legacy like some players do, you have the draft opens you can go play, and like 2 draft tournaments, just what everybody wants.
Yeah, I mean,
are great opportunities.
Oh man, we have a Philip Napoli, P-Naps, battling it out. Master.
And back to the game. Things not looking so good for Josh Ravitz here. That Jace.
The game is slowly pulling out of his reach.
Yeah, so I mean he ousts Lotus Cobra once again, but doesn't seem to have much else going on. Yeah, that Jace. Things were looking like maybe he could get back in the game until that Jace came down, and that Jace is going to be probably what takes the game away for Jonathan here.
Yeah, John can even, brainstorm, shuffle away the cards he doesn't want, and then go for the Inferno Titan. The Inferno Titan's going to hit a mana leak, but
yeah, I mean,
decides to shuffle first. That seems fine. I mean, he wants all the cards in his hand. He doesn't really want the Lotus Cobra. He knows it's one of the cards he's going to draw.
Right.
I think he'd rather just look at a fresh 3.
Right, instead of drawing the same old Lotus Cobra. So yeah, he goes for Inferno Titan, and drops it into the graveyard as soon as Josh is like, I'm going to mana leak that. Thank you very much.
Flash freeze.
Or flash freeze. Yeah. I've had enough of this nonsense. And he Fate Seals Josh. And deciding what he's going to do. And he just leaves it on top after thinking for a little while. Josh drops the colonnade and passes. And brainstorm happening for Jace here. Jonathan playing diligently and carefully to make sure that he doesn't accidentally let Josh get back in it. But that Jace is looking pretty good, especially now that it's on 5 counters to avoid getting attacked by Celestial Colonnade.
Yeah, he even has the slime, so he can deal with the colonnade.
Nice. Yeah, that slime is brutal. Very nice board position for Jonathan here. And comes the Glacial Fortress. And Josh just passes. Still holding 1 card in his hand. And is that a fresh Jace off the top for Jonathan there?
I believe it is. I don't think he wants that fresh Jace.
I do not think he wants to cast that Jace either. I'm sure Josh would love it if he did. But... Alright, so Josh is like, alright, I'm going to continue to seal your doom. Let's see what your top card is. And he makes Josh put it on the bottom this time. They have Judgment off the top for Josh Ravitz. It's a reasonable draw, but that Jace is really not helping things. Looks to be an Explore from Jonathan here. Yep, goes Exploring.
Is that into a Mana Leak? Or Halimar Depths? I'm surprised he played the Halimar Depths as opposed to brainstorming the Jace, shuffling it away.
I think at this point he's just on the Fate Seal plan.
Yeah, you could still be on the Fate Seal plan. You don't have to do it every turn.
I think he's just going to ultimate him out this game.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Standard procedure for the rug decks. Not really. So yeah, we just for the dice. He's like, okay, well I'm gonna try Inferno Titan first. Let's see what you have.
Whenever I play a deck with Jace in it, I'm always trying to win in other ways, but I always end up just ultimating my opponent.
Not a bad position to be in. And he leaves the card on top of Josh's library, sending him 1 turn closer. And you oust Inferno Titan. And Jonathan's like, alright, oust away. I'm perfectly content to just continue to level up this Jace. I'd imagine he's going to put 2 loyalty counters on Jace this turn.
And that should do it. I mean, it depends.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He'd have to...
Josh needs to...
He'd have to Fate Seal Josh, put the card on the bottom, and have Josh draw a Jace.
Yeah, or preordain into a Jace.
Sure. He drops the Inferno Titan. And yeah, Josh concedes. And
yeah, because now even if Josh draws the Jace, he's just dead to the Inferno Titan that's on the board.
Yep. He just takes him down. So Josh Ravitz, Jonathan clearly happy to be there. We'll see if we can get him in the booth here in a second.